Welcome to today's video where we'll be taking a look at Tower World. This is a game that one of my viewers asked me to play. It costs 50 Robux to play, and it's an obby game. For the record, no, I'm never gonna get tired of using this joke. That is a joke, but in truth, it's also sort of not a joke. And that's why this game is so incredibly confusing to me. To put it bluntly, I do not understand. The thing about Roblox is that as a free-to-play platform, the second that you make any game paid access, at least in my eyes, the expectation of quality goes up astronomically, no matter how little it costs. In Tower World's case, the game costs 50 Robux, which is akin to like 50 cents. So okay, a 50-cent game, your expectations shouldn't be that high, right? But again, because we're on a free-to-play platform, just by having a price tag, automatically people like myself assume that it's going to be better than anything that you can get that's free. The problem is that there's nothing really that special about Tower World. Don't get me wrong, it's not a objectively bad game, but I just don't see why you would ever pay for this. I really genuinely don't. Because here's the deal. Roblox is chock full of obby games. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of obby games. I don't think that's a stretch to say. And the vast, vast, vast majority of them are free to play. So when you have an ocean of obby games that you can pick from, and this one costs 50 Robux, well, 99% of people are just gonna skip over it, because why would you pay 50 Robux to play an obby game when there's 100 other obby games you can play? And the answer to that question would be quite simple. The only reason that you would ever pick to pay 50 Robux in order to play the game is if you had the assumption that it would be a better game than the free alternatives. But in the case of Tower World, well, it just sort of isn't. So if you came to the video with the question of, should I buy Tower World, I will give you a resounding absolutely not, no. In my opinion, because there are so many obby games on Roblox, this game is simply not worth 50 cents, even if it's as little as 50 cents. Now the question then becomes, why would the developer think that charging 50 Robux for this game would be a good idea? And in truth, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was because they put voice acting into their game, but admittedly, the voice acting, while not being eye-gougingly bad like I've seen in some other games, is also not very good. So I hope it's not that. Is it because they have these big animated boss fights? These are pretty cool and absolutely the best parts of the game, but they're also only present on, if I remember correctly, 3 levels? Is it interesting and unseen mechanics in other games? Well, sort of. The game's got a fair share of gimmicks going for it, whether it be turning your character small in order to fit into small places, platforms that switch whether or not you can jump on them by you jumping yourself, jump boosts, speed boosts. There's lots of mechanics here, but you have to keep in mind that I've seen every single one of these mechanics in a different game. So it's not like these are unique, but they're nice to have. I would expect mechanics like this considering that, again, I'm paying for the game. Now, as for those mechanics, some of them are questionable at best. Most notably, your control scheme. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Eclipse, how on God's green earth could an obby game screw up controls? You literally just jump. How do you mess that up? And well, I'm about to tell you. The way you mess up controls on an obby game is just that, having mechanics that don't cater to your simplistic control scheme. The 2 easiest examples of this are the zip lines and the wall climbing. The zip lines are pretty simple. You walk into it or jump into it and it zip lines you down. But for some reason, the developers of the game thought it would be really fun to make it so you can jump off the zip line. And once again, because there's no controls other than move and spacebar, how do you think you jump off the zip line? Spacebar. So if there's a zip line that's just barely off the ground and you go to jump into it and you walk into it at the same time you jump, you just fall off the zip line and fall all the way down the fucking tower. Awesome. Now, wall climbing has an extremely similar issue. Because there's no controls to actually climb onto a wall, it's seamless, which is pretty cool. When you jump onto a climbable wall, you'll automatically climb. The problem is that if you climb off of the climbable wall, you'll automatically fall off. This becomes problematic when you have areas where you need to jump off the wall or move close to the edge of the wall, and if you go slightly too far, you just fall off the wall. I don't understand why they didn't make it so that way in order to get off the wall, you have to jump. Why can you climb off of the wall? It doesn't make any sense. And in terms of other controls, well, there aren't any. Which is good because I'm starting to think they might have found a way to screw those up too. But let's talk about the main gimmick of this game, and that's the namesake of the game itself. The towers. Tower World's main gimmick is that every single obby that it has is built in a giant tower that you traverse upwards. On paper, this sounds like a super neat idea. And in truth, most obby games from back when I was a kid, when I still played obby games, already did this, where you would go up into the sky as you pass the obstacles. And that way you can look down and see how far you've come. That's a really cool mechanic. Unfortunately for Tower World, because these are towers and not a soulless void in the sky like most obby games, if you fall off any of the platforms, you're falling all the way down to the bottom of the tower. There is no mechanic in the game to stop you from falling all the way down to the bottom of the tower. Nor is there any mechanic to kill you if you fall all the way down to the bottom of the tower. That means that if you ever fall off any platform at any point, you have to reset. That's how you get to your next checkpoint. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna say this is a nitpick, but I paid 50 Robux for a game that doesn't have a failsafe for me missing a platform in a platformer. Really? Why do I have to manually reset myself every time I screw up? It just feels unfinished. Not only that, but if I didn't know to reset, if I was, oh, I don't know, a child like Roblox's main demographic, and I fell all the way down, I might be foolish enough to backtrack all the way back through the tower. Speaking of backtracking, oh boy, those checkpoints. The checkpoints in this game are just not very good, plain and simple. Unlike a standard obby where you get a checkpoint after basically every single obstacle, this game you need to traverse several obstacles before you get a checkpoint. Not necessarily so bad considering that usually the challenges in front of you are, well, not that challenging. The problem crops up when you have a mundane, easy area of the game followed up by a more difficult section. And so if you screw up on the more difficult section, you get sent back to the checkpoint and have to mindlessly waste your time going through the easy obstacle again and again and again. It's not fun, there's no reason for it to be here, and it feels designed to waste my time. There's nothing skillful or interesting about me one-shotting a baby easy area, that way I can get to the more difficult jump, miss it by a hair, and then have to redo the baby easy section again. Speaking of baby easy, what the hell are these hazards? This game has some of the worst hazards I've ever seen in my entire life. And by that I mean they're completely fucking pointless. In my experience with old Roblox obbies, most of the death bricks in the game were just that, death bricks. If you stepped on it, it killed you. It made the obstacles difficult and it justified having a checkpoint past every obstacle. In Tower World, the death blocks do not kill you. Thank God the death blocks do not kill you. If they did, then you would have to reset constantly from obnoxious checkpoints. That being said, because the death blocks do not kill you, they're a complete non-threat. They do barely any damage, and any area where you would reasonably ever take any damage from a death block, there's almost always a healing pad like 2 steps away where you can just get all your health back. I died 0 times to death blocks. 0. So if you're never gonna die to the death blocks, then why the hell are the death blocks even there? That's the question that I was asking myself the entire time I was playing this game. There was a point towards the end where I was wondering if you could get through several of the levels of the game by literally ignoring the death blocks. I'm talking just walk straight through them every time you see them and only avoid them if you're about to die. Could you get through an entire level walking through every single death block without actively trying to avoid it? Probably. I just, like, I don't know. I don't understand. And finally, the very last thing that I have to complain about when it comes to Tower World is the length of the game. So keep in mind, again, that we have paid for this game on a platform filled with hundreds of thousands of free obby games. And in order to play through every single world in the game, I played for, drum roll please, an hour and a half. I played for an hour and a half. You can't be serious. Oh, but Eclipse, you can go back and replay the levels on speedrun mode. No, I'm not gonna go back and replay the same shit I already played, but again. It wasn't that fun the first time. It's not gonna be any more fun the second time or the fourth time. So I'm not gonna be doing that. And that means my playtime caps out at 1 hour and 30 minutes. I bet you half the free-to-play obbies don't take you 1 hour and 30 minutes to complete. I don't wanna say that this is a scam, but I don't know what the developer was thinking. Why did they charge for this game? If someone had recommended this to me and it was free and I jumped on and played it, I'd probably be sitting here singing glowing praises. I'd be like, yeah, it has plenty of problems, but hey, you have no reason not to try it. I can't say that because I can't in good faith tell people, hey, go give somebody money for this subpar game. And I mean, I guess that's that. I'm just confused. On the one hand, I think it's a shame that this game has barely any players on it. It's currently sitting at about 42 active, but on the other hand, I'm not even remotely surprised by that. Anyways, I don't have anything else to say here. I'm probably gonna get flack for this video because anytime I make one of these videos where it's predominantly negative, I just kind of have people crawl out of the woodworks, but I'm sorry. I can't apologize for this one. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, that's all. If you enjoyed the video, you can leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't, don't. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time.